the film is a representation of the universe inside of you. Literally the scientific version of the universe inside of you existing on the outside in the microcosm of a farm that is the microcosm of the way the planet works as well. So it's this thread of connection that is like imprinted within you and reminds you that you are alive.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Okay, we've been nonstop talking about The Biggest Little Farm, nonstop, and the movie's a couple years old already. So, like I said, what I've been doing here is I want to just Margot and Mike. I want to start just putting movies out there that completely inspired my way of thinking and my life. And today, as you can see, I am 2 for 2 with movies. Margot's done. Margot's leaving the show, and she's gonna volunteer at the Chester's farm. It's already they don't know it's happening. Mike was moved, but we're honored to have Mr. John Chester. What's up, John? John, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, this is great, man. Thanks for having me.
What's cool is what I'm assuming for you, John. It's like, did you have to go, oh, shoot, that movie? Dang, that was a while ago.
No, like I'm living the life still. So it's, every weekend we're lucky to have just hundreds of people showing up to tour the farm, some of which have seen the film for the first time from all over the world. So like we're constantly reminded of what we did with the film. So it's a little different than my filmmaking past where I'd make a film and it would just be like, 5-6 years later, you're kind of on to the next thing. I feel like I can't, I can't get away from the story. Still living it.
And okay,
right?
So yes. So here's some of the things I want to pick your brain about before we get into some of the logistics of the film. Because you're a filmmaker, is this and in the movie you clearly say I was in National Geographic or you worked for you did National Geographic films?
I did like natural history stuff. So I did animals, a lot of animal films. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you're ready to do this, all right, you and Molly and you guys are like, what? We're not getting rid of Todd. Todd's not going down. We're going to start this farm. Did you go, well, I think I got an idea too. We'll just start filming this whole existence. Did you already go to like a production company? Really?
No, because I'd been making TV shows. I was a showrunner and a director, but I knew that I wanted out of the business. It was 2009 when this all really started. We started the farm in 2011, but in 2009, the bottom dropped out of the world. All the film companies were closing, all the production companies. It was like a great time to just like reinvent yourself. And the last thing I wanted to do was document our demise because I wasn't sure it was going to work. And so like, right. I didn't want to live the experience twice and then try to sell my death at the same time. Right. So I wasn't convinced until year 5, but I was that something was happening. And then I was like, no one's ever going to believe it. Now I had been shooting little things along the way, but more as like you would with your iPhone, except I also had some other cameras, but I really didn't invest and I sold all my equipment. Then I invested in equipment again and I'm back in it shooting this stuff. And these rhythms occur over and over, Jim, right? So like if I missed it one year, I could shoot it the next, but I could show you how it was evolving. As if, yeah.
Wow. So how much footage? Yeah. Sorry.
So I walked out, like it was crazy. Like I walked out in the field and like, I'm a filmmaker, so I'm generally like inspired and also completely insecure about every one of my ideas. But I'm so inspired, and it's like So
Yeah.
but there's something about this at year 5 that I saw this stuff that was working, and I'm like, no one's going to believe it. What filmmaker is going to spend 5 years of their life, let alone now it's been 14, really understanding this and being able to cinematically bring it to the screen in a way that's never been done before, without the self-righteousness of like, shame on this farm and this is the right farm and this is righteous and this isn't. Like, what if I just focus on what I'm seeing and make it cinematically great? And I'm like, I felt like the only thing that could get in the way would be me, right? Just start filming this stuff and make it important. Give it the time to capture it the right way. And that was really the beginning of the making of the film at year 5, where then I started going through and I knew the rhythms. I knew the reoccurring characters that would come back to the farm, and I could capture what was happening and evolving along the way. Yeah.
What was your intention the minute you said, like, what was the moment, John? Was there a moment where you go, you know what? This is what I hope to show everyone, and I think this is what people are going to resonate the most with. Like, because you said it was year 5, you're like, oh, I got a whole
what was the thing?
Yeah,
it was the integrated collaboration with wildlife. It was the way that these predators were returning to balance out disease and pest epidemics. It was that there was actually a way to, like I say in the film, there is a infinite comfortable level of disharmony that can exist. It's like Thanksgiving dinner during an election year. Like, we still love each other. There's always going to be that one uncle, right?
Yes.
But you love them, and you see their worth, and it's real. And like, I come from a very rural part of Maryland where nature was in one side of the fence, and then the farm was on the other. And I was seeing the collaboration actually have economic incentive for us. It was returning money. Like, I can tell you how much later, but like, I can actually put a dollar amount on the services provided by coyotes, barn owls, bobcats, right? Wow. They were saving us, right? But I had to like live through the awkward experience of risking everything to get to that relationship, which is a hard thing to put on someone. I look like an idiot for letting 400 chickens die and not killing a coyote. Like, you should kill a coyote unless you can figure out another way. But that process of not killing a coyote, I got to explore all these other methods because I kept my foot on one side. I didn't go to the antibiotics. I didn't go to the thing that has the instant gratification but collateral damage that has consequences beyond immediate understanding. So by bearing some of those humiliating, shameful, hard losses, I was able to find a way to to turn the coyote back into an ally.
There were so many moments just like that with the coyote. I just got to tell you also, John, before it's still on the tip of my brain, you nailed. When I say you nailed the feeling, everything you just said was everything I got.
Oh, that's great.
When I watched this, a couple things. One, I don't even think you realize at that time, or maybe you did, how many people actually want to do what you and Molly did. That's number. We're not even including the dog into the life and seeing the balance of everything. That's number one. But the way you showed the balance of life shook me right back into such a deeper spiritual awareness and existence of everything that lives. That lives. It was absolutely incredible.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
Yeah,
Please.
thank you for saying that. And I think that as humans living on this planet, we're seeking to understand the meaning of life, right? What is it like? What's going to bring us happiness and joy? But like, why are we even here? And we try, obviously, in the work that we do, having purpose, in our connections to other humans, our family, and we're seeking. Those are two methods, but
Yep.
it's a triangle. The third is figuring out how to actually feel connected to life itself, and that is the wild planet of this biosphere. The way to do that, we think, is farming. That's why people go, oh, farming. But farming is actually not the thing. Farming is an excuse. It's a portal to that connection with nature that requires a level of humility, because you are going to get your ass kicked by it. And if you're going to try to like exist with it, if you just use chemical warfare and you're always at war with it, you don't really understand the give and take of it. But through that process of having your ass kicked by it, this humility that washes over you opens up that portal of connection to the thing that you say that we've tapped into in sharing the story. And suddenly you realize that the meaning of life itself is to, in the face of struggle, not focus on regret, but focus on solution, because that's how nature works. If the coyote loses a leg, it doesn't think about the lost leg. It thinks about how it's now going to live with 3 legs. And so it becomes incredibly attuned and creative, and it looks towards its system as an infinite toolbox of opportunity. So that's the relationship that I feel like people have gravitated towards, or that's the thing that inspires them maybe about the film, is the relationship, not so much the farming, but farming is a portal to that relationship.
Sure you're not a poet? That was, you couldn't have summed that up any better. And just along what you're talking about, those things started hitting me, and what it made me hope for. You're talking about the past and all that. I think so many of us do exactly what you said, meaning another reason why I love this movie is you found the natural source to not combat, but to balance out one another, instead of going, we gotta get rid of these things. What kills it?
Right.
Spray that out. Spray this, and and then it'll seep into the land, and that, so many people don't understand. For me, that was the most powerful. There's many powerful moments and lessons from this, but the lesson that you and we keep telling it, everyone's got to watch this, whether you want to farm or not. It's just life in general. It really is. It's we're always looking for that quick fix, and most of the time that quick fix has such a disastrous long-term effect. But this is what's drilled in us every day. But instead of dwelling on that, we were just talking about before you came on here, the beauty of possibly the future of what you're showing, I think, has so much potential to change human nature across the world. I'm not just saying that. I don't need to say that. You don't need to be here. But that's to me is the most. I told Margot, the producer, I was a zombie for a week and a half. I was just, have you seen this movie? What do you love about it? I went, no, you don't understand. It brings you back to everything's existence, and I can't reiterate that enough. So,
thanks for saying that.
You put it out there. I'm just acknowledging. So
it's in you. It's in you. Can I? It's inside you, and I think that's what it is. So, like your gut microbiome is a fractal representation of my farm, And this farm is a microcosm, a fractal representation of the way the biosphere of the planet works. So your immune system in your body is regulated by a diverse assortment of microorganisms. And that actually is the regulating principle of your immune system. So there's all these different players in there that if you use excess amounts of antibiotics over your lifetime can kill some of those beneficial microorganisms that actually help your immune system, right? So then it throws off the chemistry in your body, and then suddenly the pathogenic organisms can start to win because there isn't that special force that got wiped out through the collateral damage use of, say, antibiotics. It's the same with land, with a farm. And the entire regulating principle of the immune system of our planet is not just the soil system, which is only 12 inches. It's all the living creatures above that. They are regulating epidemic breakouts without us even knowing it. And when one keystone species disappears, like, for example, the coyote, if we actually were able to eliminate the coyote, we would be overrun, in my prediction, by rabbits, gophers, voles, so many things. And then the disease that would come from that. We've been trying to extinguish and kill coyotes for over 2 centuries. We kill 500,000. And this isn't like don't kill coyotes campaign. I'm just saying these are the consequences. I'm not trying to be righteous. Here are the facts.
Correct.
We kill 500,000 coyotes a year. And for some reason, all that's done, because this creature is so incredibly prolific, all it's done is force them to spread throughout the country. And it even increases pack sizes as we kill them. And thank God, because there's something that they're doing to regulate the whole system. Right. And so what I'm saying is that the reason I feel people are connecting to this is because the film is a representation of the universe inside of you, literally the scientific version of the universe inside of you existing on the outside in the microcosm of a farm that is the microcosm of the way the planet works as well. So it's this thread of connection that is like imprinted within you and reminds you that you are alive.
Wow. All right, John, let me ask you this. When did you start thinking this way? When did you start understanding this? Because original humans know this already. I travel. Was this through National Geographic where you started seeing the layers of life of what connects to what connects to what? Like, I was just in Africa. All right? I was just in Tanzania, and I'm watching literally the giraffes, and the guy starts explaining to me that the trees are communicating with one another as the giraffes are coming. I went, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're with was it Akashi plants?
Yes.
Yeah, they're putting like a tannin or some sort of poison to try to fight, so the giraffes run faster to try to get ahead. I learned that when I was in South Africa before the farm.
Yes.
That's amazing. So, that's an amazing story. Yeah.
So and when moments happen like that, I go, God, I wish the whole world just heard what I saw. Because when you come home and try to explain it, like, oh, okay, well, what do you want to order? Well, what, you want a latte? Like, well, no, dude, it's just, you don't think that's wild with the giraffes and the thing. We don't have time there's such incredible aha moments in our lifetime. So do you think you got that from doing the National Geographic stuff and being in nature? Or was this something, because what you're saying is, I think, is such a necessity in life. And what you said before too, I'm babbling, so I apologize. Something I learned from what you just said a little bit before was you went, instead of, we're going to go to war with this and war with that and this, and we're going to get war. And the way they used to do it, which is a lot of people's problem. They used to do this. You decided, which I think is so key for so many people in their journeys, let's just focus on this, what we're doing and where we're going and all that. But when did this start coming to you, John? Was this in nature?
I think like, like you had, I went to South Africa and did a vet show, and I had to go through the vet program 3 times to do the show, and it was on it was on a safari game park, Amakala and Shamwari game park, and most of these guys were farmers before they were running a game park, and what they realized when they destroyed their farm by improper grazing practices, they destroyed the flora and fauna elements that were keeping those farms healthy, and when they still had the land, but they're like, well, now that we know that we destroyed it through improper management of an ecosystem, maybe we just run it like an ecosystem and do it as a big game park because there's more money in that. So I was learning about that there, but then but really through the years of experience here, it came from a commitment to, it's kind of crazy, but you got to keep your foot on one side of the circle for a while. You can't go to the, you can't reach for the gun.
Right.
You're going to have to try. You know what it is? It's diplomacy.
Right.
And I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in a resort town on a boardwalk. I'm kind of like half carny. And, diplomacy wasn't my greatest skill. I was territorial about my hometown. We were a resort town. We're the locals. And like, you come in our area, you mess with us. And I came into this, and it's like, there's a level of diplomacy, and that is it takes faith, not courage. It takes faith that and I don't mean the faith in a God, but faith in that there is a solution. And you find the courage through basically going through the losses. So to answer your question, it was actually through incredible shame and humiliation and the failure that I was starting to be given these glimpses of the way these things were threaded together, and seeing that this thing, what I just figured out, this thing also applies to that thing and that thing. So rather than saying this farming methodology has a specific methodology, it's actually a way of seeing that becomes universal. And once you see, it's a lens. Once you use this lens, you can diagnose your way in to try to find some level of coexistence. Right. And so it was through the failures that I feel I was given some of those answers to start to see and maybe talk in this way.
So the failures on the farm or the failures in life in general? Wow.
I mean, the failures as a filmmaker, it's the same thing. Films don't want to be made. Farms don't want to be farmed. Plants don't want to live. Animals don't want to cooperate. Executives don't want to listen to your ideas. But it really is more failures on the farm.
Got it.
Like the loss of life, losing an animal, losing plants, and the neighbors waiting for you to fail because in the beginning that was their, told you so. We didn't have a lot of friends in the beginning, but we weren't trying to change people either. I was very careful about that. Like, there are none so righteous as the newly converted. So who am I? Right.
Well, right. But I know they're like, big hot shot TV film guys now going to start a farm. Let's see him. Let's see him go down, burn down. So before I have, I have Margot has got it. I got to have her ask you a question or two. She's so emotionally attached to this. She wept multiple times, which I knew she was going to do for the beauty and all of it. But before we even get into that, just farm questions.
Sure.
The beginning of the movie scared the life of me, and I got very angry at the two of you because I thought it was going to end that way. When you see that, which is great to lure you in, you see the fires coming.
Right.
And you see the horse and the animal. And at first I went, I'm not watching this. I'm not investing. I'm not investing in 40. And I think I was about 45 minutes in or an hour 15 in. And I'm so captivated by every layer of every message of this incredible film. I went, oh my God, the fires.
Right. You remember.
They're luring me in. I don't know if I can watch it. I'm not going to watch the ending. I can't do this to I'm not doing this. Why am I doing this to me? I'm being led to the playground to get clubbed. I'm not doing this. And it doesn't go that way.
Right.
But thank God. But I assume the recent fires in California, you're okay. Should I assume?
Sure. Yeah, you were okay, but I can answer some of that. But yeah, but go ahead.
Well, what I want to know is if a fire is coming, what do you do? Like, what's the protocol? Because you have so much livestock, so many living animals and creatures. Like, what do you do? It's coming so fast. Or do you go immediately, like the minute you hear something, you're like, you know what? Let's start prepping. What's the protocol if that goes down? Because I'm sure you've dealt with that to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's been fires that have hit portions of the farm, but not to the degree that we've seen. We've been very lucky. This last fire about 2 months ago burned right up to the property line. The Thomas Fire, which is what you saw in the movie, was the biggest fire in California history at the time. And that was that record got broken in the next 3 subsequent years. But that fire happened while we were in the editing room, which is I'm in the barn. Right behind me is an old horse birthing stall, and that's where we cut the film. And that fire happened, and so it got put into the movie late. But to answer your question, we're not fireproof, but we're fire resistant, and meaning that our plants have at their root tip access to water because of our soil quality, and the organic matter in our soil has a water holding capacity increase that then in comparison to other parts of California that don't maybe have the same level of organic matter. So in other words, we have hundreds of millions of gallons of water being held in maybe the top 12 inches on 240 acres. So there's a humidity and a moisture level here that makes it a little harder that when a fire hits, it's going to burn some things, but it's not quick fuel, right?
Right.
A lot of what you're seeing is old, dead, quick fuel. Chaparral, is meant to burn, and we've prevented it from burning because there are expensive homes around. And that's kind of what happened in Eaton Fire and Palisades Fire. Those were they were long overdue. I'm not saying there's other issues, but long overdue. The winds have increased in speed. Like I said, we're not fireproof, but we're fire resistant because of that. Everything's very green on our farm because of our water holding capacity within our soil. So the plant can transpire. It can sweat, at least instead of just like, giving up. I got nothing left in the soil. I can't transpire anymore. And then it's going to burn up. It generally takes a lot longer for trees to burn. But 80-mile-an-hour winds, man, that's a big deal. That's what's happening now. And so I'm not saying we're out of harm's way, but we got a better chance. And we've bought 2 fire trucks and we're in the wildland fire business now. So meaning we have trucks.
Okay. But like the animals, if you got to get them out,
you asked about the animals.
How do you get that many?
What do you do? You cannot evacuate the animals. It's a log jam of horse trailers, people trying to get horses out of this area. So we move the cows and the sheep and the chickens into big wide open pastures where they're on like the windward side of, say, like eucalyptus trees, so that if the euca trees catch on fire, that they aren't falling on them. So they're in wide open pastures that are generally green pastures, so they can kind of move around and dodge the embers. There's no getting the animals out.
Wow.
Yeah, we may take the guardian dogs with us, but it happens so fast, Jim, that sometimes there's not a lot of time.
Right. Yeah. No, that's why I was wondering. I'm like, my God, what do you do? I mean, isn't that enough trailers? It's like 4 or 5 trips. There's nothing you can do.
Nothing. Just get everything out of structures and put them in big wide open pastures.
Yeah. Margot, would you like to join? And she's not gonna, but I'd like her to join.
I definitely will join. Hi.
Hi, Margot.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well.
I loved this. I love your life. I'd like you to adopt me, and I'd like to come live on your farm. And I'll just try to ask you just a couple questions because I have tons. The biggest one for me is, again, with the animals. It was really hard for me to watch. I'm a huge animal lover. And I'm just wondering, how did you kind of reckon with or accept that you can't save everything, and that some of the animals are going to die, and some of the animals, I mean, watching you send the pigs away, like the piglets that grew up, and you said in the film, you know, I bonded with these animals. I have a relationship with these animals, and I can't imagine how did you come to terms with that, with accepting these realities?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's funny. Not funny. You're touching on, I think, the other element that's like a universal theme that this film kind of processes, and that is the inevitable thing that we all face, and that is death, the end of life. And it. So here, you're talking really. It's a conversation about veganism, vegetarianism, meat eating, and here's how I'll say it. You know, first of all, I think we need a diversity of diets. So this is not an attack on any one diet. My wife, Molly, was a vegetarian for 14 years. We actually have vegans and vegetarians that work on the farm. But the other thing I think to know as we sort of zoom back about, you know, eating animals is that everybody loves avocados. And we, in order to grow avocados, have to protect them from gophers and ground squirrels. We kill probably 35,000 to 60,000 gophers a year just to protect avocado trees. And that's all farms. All farms are killing things. So you have to decide, where is it that you're comfortable having blood on your hands in order to live? And oftentimes the farmer is taking that on for you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It does not excuse farming animals and not having a reverence for their life and the treatment. You know, I'm completely against CAFOS operations, confined feeding, you know, operations where they're not living and being able to express their naturalness, their natural relationship with the land. I don't think anyone really ever should be proud of getting comfortable with killing. I think there is an opportunity to show reverence before that sacrifice is made, and to remember that that is your job as the steward of this animal, to prepare that animal for the inevitable day. But I don't allow myself not to have a human emotion around it. But we are not getting out of this life without going through the process of death, right? And most of the times our inability to face some of those hard realities around the fact that my avocado required animals to die is our own inability to come to grips with our own demise and death. And so, because I think we've been sold a bill of goods by the Lion King. They made us think that it was called the circle of life. And it's not a circle. The circle of life, maybe Disney's going to sue me now, but the circle of life is a complete, it's an incomplete roadmap of our existence. Let me sort of show you what I feel it is. It starts here, and it starts to circle up to the top part of a circle. So that first half of the circle is the birth phase. And then as you reach the top of the birth phase, you get into your, say, 50s, right? You start to now, you're not taking as much from life. You're starting to kind of give back. You become this, you know, the plant is wilting, the plant's dropping leaves, the plant's dropping fruit. We're starting to kind of give back later in our life. That's the beginning of the death phase. And as it comes down to the completion of the death phase, the thing that was once you or me or a kitten or a woolly mammoth now dies. It's dead. And it lays upon the soil like a leaf, like a person, like a woolly mammoth, like a kitten. And the soil decomposes it. Right? So now it's gone from the birth phase to the death phase to the decomposition phase. And at the bottom of the decomposition phase, all of what once was you or me or that kitten or that woolly mammoth ceases to exist in the same form. It's now a bunch of different parts that came together to create you. You are a borrowed bag of nutrients that came from and through the ground, every part of you, right? Even the water. It's sitting at the bottom of that now shape, waiting to be called back into action. It wants a mission in life. All right. And in the soil system, the way it works is that a plant sends down something called a root, but it's an antenna. And it's signaling to the ground saying, who wants to build a 40-foot oak tree? Because within this seed, I have the plans for that. Who's on? And then suddenly the parts of you, the copper, the nitrogen, the molybdenum, all these different things, the selenium, come back up into that root system and help build that next thing. And that is the reanimation phase. And it crosses back up through this X, right? And that X is the X factor of human existence, right? And I'll talk about that in a second. But when you take that shape and you turn it on its side, what is that the symbol for?
Infinity, forever.
Right. And that X in this particular example is soil. It alchemizes death back into life, right? And so everything we're going through as humans is about letting go to go through that transformative process so we can be reborn. And I'm not talking about it from a religious perspective. Like everything we're all going through right now is requiring incredible will to actually trust that this breakdown of who we once were is forcing us into becoming the thing that we're meant to be next. And if we try to hold on, we get stuck at that bottom part of the 8. And we have to, right? So you understand death in that way, nothing ever dies. And that's what they mean. All religions talk about the infinite. It's because you will never leave this planet. The you, the embodied you. I don't know where your soul's going to go, but everything that is you will never leave here. It will become a hummingbird. It'll become a caterpillar. It'll become a scorpion. It's going to be part of life forever. And so you can't have that conversation about how hard it is to force that sacrifice onto an animal unless you fully process what it means to die, in my opinion.
Well, if you ever start a religion like that, I will join because that was a great explanation.
But here's the beauty of it. Go ahead, John, you say.
I was just saying we're already on a farm, and that's where all the cults are, or California on a farm. So
I'm in. I'm coming. That's a beautiful answer.
No, but
thank you.
Wouldn't this be amazing? Which I guess I talk about. I love talking about the idea of instead of going to schools, instead of learning about whatever Ponce de Leon or whatever that they have to give you a pill to concentrate with. How incredible to teach at a young age the meaning of life, just the way you explained it, John, and live it through either a farm experience or getting to understand that way of life, which sometimes I really wonder, you've been in places like Africa where I'm like, this is our knowledge of the way humanity is really supposed to be has been so suppressed.
Yeah.
And it's been so, no, this is what it is. And don't worry. And the beauty of this, I truly think the younger generation is really starting to understand. I'm really, whether it's from your movie, whether it's from conversations, I do feel this is what I love about you is you don't, God, I live for everything you do. I strive for what you do. And what I mean by that is there's no confrontation. There's no pointing fingers. There's no denouncing. It's just explanation. And whether you want to take that explanation or not, that is on you. That's it. I'm giving you simple information on all your questions. And I'm not saying this is bad and that, and you shouldn't be, and you shouldn't. That's all. If you want to take it, you take it, and you do it
beautifully.
You channel.
Yeah.
John's a channeler.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying it. And I think I've been in the documentary world for a long time where, documentarians want to create an enemy and demonize this group versus that group and create like this shame. And like, if you're, you got to be on the right side of history. And I think that this experience for all of us is not about pointing a finger. Obviously, there's lots of things that could change politically or laws and all this stuff. But honestly, this is about the only thing I want to come from this film or this experience. And the reason I shared it is not to change things politically, not to make people farm differently, not to make people eat differently, but to open people up to the opportunity to have a direct relationship with the natural world. And that will change everything. Because it's not about, you can't force people to change for a long time with a law and with shame. Like I could tell you, Jim, if you're a good person, you'll do this and you'll do that. You won't really change until you fall in love with something. It all turns on affection, which was a book, Wendell Berry wrote. And what he means by that is that, obviously if you love it, you see the infinite worth of it. If you see the infinite worth, or if you can see the infinite worth of it, you will love it. Like a child, like if my son drives the tractor into the pond tomorrow, I won't say, well, he's never going to make it in life. I already know and love and see his potential. So I'm going to stick it out with him even through the hard times. And that's my relationship to him, not the one incident. So I appreciate you saying that, because I think it's not about trying to point fingers. The film is actually opening up, challenging you to the opportunity to lean into this and see the value for yourself in this relationship with the natural world. And you don't have to be an activist or a conservationist. You just have to start to see the system. It's the matrix. That's what this is.
I cannot say that any better. And I learned from you. I'm learning from you. These are things I know. I tend to, either just from the comedy world or whatever world, I tend to too much go, look what they're making you do, and listen, and that, don't you
good.
People,
that's perspective though.
Don't you people get it? How do you not get it? Where I feel like I came to terms years ago, mostly from watching news. And watching news, it taught me their tactic is always teaching you to be confrontational, no matter who you're with. These guys will teach you to be this confident. And these guys and that has spread to humanity on such a level. But when you just start talking conversation and just saying as is, rather than trying to sell a bullet point or whatever it is, it's just as is. If you just, that energy and that these people and that and the thing, I think those days are ending, because it never solves anything. It's like watching Tom and Jerry your entire existence in life. Your whole existence in life, you're watching Tom trying to get Jerry, or the Wile E. Coyote trying to catch Bugs Bunny, and everyone's like, it's watching where everything you just said, just the less. You're such a great lesson on the non-confrontational, just learning world. I feel like I've been searching for you as a buddy for my whole, especially the last couple of years. And these two are gonna laugh. I don't think they've ever seen me like this. I'm like, okay.
So you guys are joining the cult. So you're going to come join the cult too. This is great. I didn't expect
no, but you know what?
2 additional.
But if this is what a cult is, I'm okay with it calling a cult. Well, Margot?
One other question. Sorry, I just wanted to say, I have one more question, but I just wanted to say something that you said when you were talking to Jim before. Jim, when we were all talking before this, and we were talking about what are we working for? Like every day we get up, we do this. Why? And you, when you were speaking to him, I wrote down, you said, as humans, we're seeking to understand the meaning of why we're here. Why are we here? And you said to feel connected to life itself. And that's something that you've gained from, or have a better understanding of, I'd imagine, from having the farm. And that just that's it. Like, to me, that is the most profound. It's true. That's exactly right. I would love to be able to feel more connected to life itself. And I think we've lost that in our day to day. So you saying that, I mean, I'm going to tattoo it on my arm.
Can I elaborate on that, or is there more to the question? Yeah.
Please.
No, please.
Because I think there is something we're all going through. Politics aside, I think there's a lot of massive changes happening in a lot of people's lives right now. And I think I'm going to kind of go out on a limb, but maybe kind of restate something I sort of said earlier. But that is the meaning of life kind of is in this moment of where you've lost something, or you can no longer be that thing. And the process of grieving that loss and kind of accepting that is the thing you have to go through. But I think the actual meaning of life itself is realizing that is forcing you to lean into this toolbox of the infinite. And by that, I mean, you start to look around at now how this thing that has the door closed has forced you into looking into the space of where all these other possibilities are for you to rebuild something new or to get back what you once had in a different way. And it is in that, I think, the decision to say, I'm going to use this loss to rebuild something and start to change how I see the world around me as now resources. That is the meaning of life. And if it's not the meaning of life, then life would cease to exist, because every loss would be an end. If the coyote lost his foot, he would just give up and die. So the meaning of life actually is to be creative in the moment of the loss, to look to the world as having infinite possibility, right? And not just saying it, but you got to roll on. You got to get out there. You got to do it. You just got to walk out the door. And that's the hardest thing in the experience of loss. We want to shut down and cut ourselves off. And in actuality, what we need to do is need to put the backpack on and go and just show up and just do things and find things. And then you start to find a path. And then all of a sudden you've rebuilt the whole entire thing. And that is what I've watched every single wild creature do in the face of adversity. It's why we were able to redirect the coyote, because I made it just a pain enough of an ass for him to kill my chickens to where he's like, that's kind of hard. Now I'm going to eat $50,000 worth of gophers a year for John and Molly. Right? They're just lazy opportunists like us. I mean, look, like as a heart, we're artists. And I think we're the laziest human beings on planet Earth until we're inspired. And then we'll do crazy, right? And not sleep and work all night and just drive ourselves into the ground because we're inspired. And so for an artist especially, man, you are the epitome of life. You have the one tool that so many other people don't have, is you already see yourself as a creator of something that can turn nothing into something.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
All right. This is my last one. I won't keep you forever. Two things. One, I do think, I said this a while ago, and I don't know if it's true. Two things. One is artists. I often tell people, you know, they'll say, this is just me just talking. And then I'll get to the real question I want. And people will go, yeah, well, you're artist. I don't have that creative. I believe every human being, and perhaps every being, is truly an artist in their own way, whatever that is. Like you and I see artists as whatever.
You're used to process. Yeah, you're an artist that knows process. Like failure is part of the whole building. Many people just, oh, you're right. Everybody's an artist. They're just uncomfortable with process.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
And the other thing is, I found that no matter what, to get me into the things that you say or feel, say, putting out there, the things that rejuvenate me to think about a lot of the conversations that we've had and that you spoke of today, nature is key. And for me, I don't know if it is for you, but for me, nature has always been the absolute key, whether it's just standing outside my door, sitting somewhere, watching animals, I'm in Florida now. I can't even, people think I'm nuts. They think I'm on something staring at an egret for 45 minutes as he's, on my kayak. And I'll watch the eagle for an hour. Just like, oh, he's going to die there. And this guy's towing everyone at the eagle stand.
Right, exactly. You're seeing all those patterns. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know for you, but is nature probably your biggest teacher? I don't know if I say that the correct way.
No, I know you're 100%. I actually think, I see myself more inspired by the rewilding of this land than I am inspired by the farming of this land. The habitat integration, the development of habitat, more than 20% of our farm is habitat, like wildlife habitat, integrated strategically like veins running through the place in order to encourage them here. Those relationships have taught me more about farming than farming has taught me about nature. But farming is the excuse. Farming is the reason to become dependent upon the natural world. It forces that humility that you come in, you're like, oh, I've read a book, or I went to UC Davis and I have a degree in farming and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it. Well, that's like not how it works. It's just like saying, I'm going to go be a filmmaker or move to California and I got a friend out there saying he's going to hook me up. That's going to like a Led Zeppelin, right? So the commitment to actually trying to live off of and from nature forces you to see those things even more acutely. But absolutely, wildlife to me is the thing. That's your way in. That's your way in. People say you turn 50 and suddenly you're like, oh, is that like that's that bird, that's a red boo-boo fadafush, it's like you suddenly know all these birds, because it's honestly, I feel like as you get older, you start to seek a connection to this thing. You suddenly become, wait, I've been ignoring this freaking amazing. I love that we're trying to go to Mars. Like there's more bacteria on the bottom of your shoe than there is maybe on the entire planet, at least so far. I could be proven wrong at some point, but there's more we don't even know how to run this car, this engine of the planet, and we're going to go start one somewhere else. Right.
Yeah, I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all part of the, Matrix, all part of that. Look this way and look what we're doing. We're the greatest in the history of humanity.
There is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the you're talking about.
Yeah. We're going to Mars.
Yeah.
But it's great entertainment. It's great entertainment. Right.
And it'll turn into something. Yeah.
John, I'm not going to keep you any longer because I got to be honest with you. I'm just going to thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Not for just being a guest, putting something so incredible, so inspiring, so beautiful, so necessary, and something that I think so many people are going to learn from on so many different layers.
Thank you.
The way you put it. And I have to say, you are hands down my favorite. No disrespect to anyone I ever had. This is one of the most favorite times I ever had in my entire life.
Oh man, it's really nice.
I love talking to people like yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Come see the farm. Hopefully you can come out. Yeah.
Well, forget it. Margot's. You think you're kidding? She's bringing a hammock.
I'm coming. I said I have to ask him. Can I come visit? I'm in Arizona. I'm in Tucson. I'll drive up. I'm coming.
You can do that. Can I
roll on out? One more question. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sure. It was such a beautiful wrap up.
It was a beautiful wrap up. I just ruined it. I'm sorry, Mike. You can cut this.
Okay,
Yeah.
Margot. It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
No,
Do
go
you
for it,
think
Mark.
that the farm has changed you more than you've changed the farm, or vice versa?
Oh.
Yeah, I think that is a big question. I would say absolutely. I uh, it's infused into everything that I do and now. I would say absolutely. It's you know what it is. It's also made me way more hopeful. It's made me I'm not, I don't want to die, but I'm comfortable with death in a different way than I've ever been. But I also feel like I feel more purposely connected to these challenges that we all face as humans, because I can constantly relate them back to what I see nature do to get out of the same situation. You know, there was something else that popped into my head that's gone now. I wish it was there. It felt profound when it was there.
I'm sure it was profound
For me.
Well,
maybe we'll to be continued.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. Margot, that was
I also want to
incredible.
Thank you. This was one of the most moving. I'm not going to cry. It was.
You're going to cry.
I'm going to cry.
It's okay.
Thank you so much.
It's okay.
Thanks, Jim, for letting me ask questions. Okay, I'm going to go for real now.
You're welcome.
That was really nice. I appreciate that. No, it's funny, Jim. I have a lot of guys that'll come up to me. They're big guys, and they're like, "I don't know what it was, but the film was a little emotional." I never know, but I never know what to say. And I mean, they're like, "I don't know what it was." You know, I don't know what was it. It was like emotional. And I'm like, I never know what to say in that situation, but I feel like it's a great compliment, because it's opened up people to, it's opened up people to feeling connected to, the infinite that is this universe and planet. And we're lucky to experience together. And I think that emotion is like a release of like, God, I don't have to do it. I don't have to be stronger than this thing. It's got me.
Well, here's the thing that we talked about right before you came, and I promise you we'll wrap this up. How incredible. All this started with a dog.
Yeah.
That you were like, no, he's not going back to the pound.
That same commitment. Yeah.
It started with Todd.
Yeah.
The dog.
Yeah.
And the dog's life led to all this, and a simple decision by you and Molly led to all this.
Right.
That's what I always tell people too. I'm like, I love the saying, you're not a nobody because you don't know how you're affecting things. And the one person can change the world for the better as long as they don't give a damn who gets the credit. Just know that it's happening. And John Chester, please tell your lovely wife, Molly, and the best to your family, you guys are changing the world for the better. And I cannot thank you enough.
Appreciate that.
Wonderful. I look forward to visiting and saying hello.
On behalf of the whole, on behalf of the whole farm and all the team here that's like supporting what we're doing, and the people that have been here before and gone, I will accept that. It takes a village and a community, and I'm really proud to be a part of this community of regenerative biodynamic farming. So thanks for having me on. Appreciate you, Jim, and all you're doing, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, John. John Chester, from one of my all-time favorite movies, The Biggest Little Farm. Everything that John shared with us today, I didn't know what to expect. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't know what to expect. John expressed everything that I feel in my life, that I live for in my life. I don't always achieve, that I wish people understood and knew and can learn from. And I don't think I could have done it in a better way than what John Chester did today and what he did with that movie. I cannot highly suggest, grab your children. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. Just do yourself a favor and check out The Biggest Little Farm. It's more than about a farm. It's more than about animals. It's quite an expression of life. And I just, you guys have been listening to me. You know where I'm at right now. There's nothing else for me to say. I'm just gonna leave it as, wow, I really had a great moment in time today. And I hope you did too. And we'll see you next time on the Breuniverse. I feel like was that not the human being that that was my whole life. My whole life is like, John. I'm like, I'm in the same mode after I saw the movie. Like, I need a break. I need to walk in the sun. I need to take a walk down the street.
For more information on the farm and the products they provide, head on over to apricotlanefarms.com.